Rimuru and Ultima goes to One Piece, Rimuru and Ultima x One Piece, by Veldanava-God. Chapter 40. Infiltration and Revelation. The Straw Hat Pirates and the Heart Pirates finally arrived on Veldori Island, a mysterious territory ruled by the feared Yonkou, Rimuru and Ultima. Disguised in plain clothes, cloaks, and hats to hide their identities, the two crews slipped quietly onto the island's shores. The bustling streets of the island's marketplace stretched before them, filled with merchants, guards, and citizens who kept their heads down as they moved. Luffy, hiding under a wide-brimmed straw hat, tried to stifle his excitement. "All right, guys, keep it cool," he whispered to his crew, a glint of adventure in his eyes. Law changed at him, his face somber. "This isn't a game, Luffy. This island isn't normal. The people here look disenchanted." Nami leaned in, her voice low but tense. "He's right, Luffy. Look around. People are barely making eye contact, and there are guards everywhere." Sanji nodded, his gaze sharp. "This is more than just a controlled territory. These people are afraid to even breathe too loudly." Chopper clung to Usopp, his small form tense. "It's horrible. Rimuru and Ultima's rule is absolute here. We've got to help them." Luffy clenched his fists, his eyes narrowing. "We're going to do more than help. We're going to take Rimuru and Ultima down." Law placed a hand on his shoulder. "Stay focused. If we want to make a difference, we'll need a plan. Charging in will only get us caught, and we don't know what kind of power Rimuru and Ultima really have." Robin scanned the crowd, her eyes sharp. "I've heard whispers. The people talk about rebellions that have been crushed time and time again. And their leaders, Rimuru and Ultima, are described as merciless." Zoro's hand drifted to his sword, his voice a low rumble. "They sound like tyrants. It's starting to make sense why this island is so quiet." As they spoke, Tessa Horizon, one of Rimuru and Ultima's generals, was observing them from the shadows. With her haughty and sharp instincts, she had spotted them the moment they entered the island, noting their presence without even needing to see their faces. Moving soundlessly, Tessa turned away from the marketplace and slipped through alleyways, heading toward the massive castle that loomed over the city. Within minutes, she had reached the grand throne room where her leaders, Rimuru and Ultima, sat in their regal thrones. Rimuru's golden eyes gleamed with curiosity as Tessa appeared before them, her gaze cool and composed. "Tessa," Rimuru greeted, his voice echoing through the chamber. "What news do you bring us?" Tessa bowed slightly, her tone respectful but urgent. "Monkey D. Luffy and Trafalgar Law have arrived on the island. They're hiding under disguises, trying to blend in, but I confirmed their presence." At this, Sylphira let out a laugh, her eyes flashing with excitement. "So they've come to us, have they? Trying to sneak around like common spies?" Kalis clenched his fists, his muscles flexing with anticipation. "Should we crush them now, while they're unaware of our knowledge? It would be over before they even realize." But Ultima shook her head, a mischievous smile tugging at her lips. "No, let's not be hasty. We'll let them think they're hidden. It'll be more interesting that way." Sylphira raised an eyebrow, curious. "Why wait? We could ambush them and have this finished before sunset." Rimuru leaned forward in his throne, a dark gleam in his golden eyes. "Where's the fun in that? Let them try to infiltrate our island. I want to see how far they think they can get." Ultima nodded, sharing Rimuru's sentiment. "They've entered our domain. I want to see what they're capable of. Let them struggle and think they have a chance. When the time comes, we'll deal with them." The generals exchanged knowing glances, each one smirking in anticipation. They knew that if Rimuru and Ultima wished to observe rather than strike, then the situation would unfold as a strategic game, one where they held every advantage. Meanwhile, in the marketplace, unaware they were already being watched, Luffy and his crew moved cautiously through the bustling marketplace, exchanging glances with Law's crew as they signaled each other. The marketplace was packed with people, but every step revealed more about the island's harsh reality. There was an undercurrent of fear, a tension that ran through the locals, who kept their heads down and barely made eye contact with anyone. Usopp whispered, "This place feels wrong. It's like everyone's afraid to even look up." Law observed, his voice low and grim. "They're terrified of Rimuru and Ultima. This is worse than most territories controlled by the Yonkou." Nami nodded, keeping her voice down. "We've seen plenty of tyrants, but the atmosphere here is different. It's suffocating." Chopper looked around with wide eyes. We can't let this continue. These people are suffering. Luffy's face hardened, his usual carefree demeanor replaced by determination. We're going to put an end to this. I don't care how powerful they are. Zoro gave a small, approving nod. Let's show them what happens when you mess with the innocent. Law crossed his arms, his gaze steely. We'll need more information. Charging in without a plan would be reckless. Robin tilted her head, observing the marketplace. Perhaps we can win the support of the people. If they see we're here to help, they may rally behind us. Luffy's grin was fierce. All right, let's give them a reason to fight back. Back in the throne room, Tessa observed her leaders as they discussed the situation. Luffy's anger was evident. He's already taken in the conditions on the island. Ultima's smile turned wicked, a glint of amusement in her golden eyes. Perfect. Let his anger fuel him. It'll make the fight all the more satisfying. Sylphira smirked. If they're foolish enough to challenge us on our own ground, they'll learn just how deadly a mistake that was. Rimuru's gaze grew sharp, and he leaned back in his throne, clearly enjoying the idea. We've given them a chance to play their game. Let's see if they can handle it. Kalis laughed, cracking his knuckles. It won't be long before they realize what a mistake it was to come here. When the time is right, we'll crush them. Ultima nodded, her eyes flashing with excitement. Exactly. Let them think they're gaining ground. Once they've seen the full weight of our power, they'll regret ever setting foot on Veldori Island. Later, among the Straw Hat and Heart Pirates, as the two crews made their way toward the town center, they started noticing subtle signs of rebellion. Scratched out posters, whispered messages, and graffiti condemning Rimuru and Ultima's rule. Sanji glanced around, speaking quietly. There's resistance here. These people hate Rimuru and Ultima, but they're terrified of them. Frankie nodded, flexing his mechanical arm. Maybe they just need a push. If they see someone standing up to those tyrants, they might join in. Luffy's eyes were filled with resolve. Then we'll give them that push. Suddenly, Robin held up her hand, signaling for silence. She pointed to a small alley where two locals were whispering to each other, glancing nervously over their shoulders. Did you hear? One of them whispered. Another group tried to rise up in the outer districts. The guards took them out within hours. The other nodded, her voice shaking. It's hopeless. Rimuru and Ultima are too powerful. Anyone who speaks out, they're taken away, and no one ever sees them again. Nami clenched her fists, anger simmering beneath her calm exterior. This isn't just oppression. It's total control. They've made people believe resistance is impossible. Zoro's face darkened. Then we'll prove them wrong. Back at the throne room, Sylphira paced the room, grinning. How long do you think they'll last? Rimuru smirked, his gaze distant as he envisioned the upcoming conflict. Let them have their moment. Soon enough, they'll realize they're playing right into our hands. Tessa leaned forward, her expression fierce. When the time comes, they'll know what true power looks like. Ultima gasped, folding her hands elegantly. Let them find out for themselves. We'll be here, waiting. As they spoke, a guard burst into the room, bowing deeply. Your Majesties, the Straw Hat and Heart Pirates have been spotted near the city center. It appears they're gathering information from the locals. Rimuru's smirk broadened. Perfect. Let them learn all they want about our rules. When they're ready, we'll be here to greet them. Ultima's laughter roared through the hall, filled with excitement and anticipation. And we'll see if they truly have the strength to challenge the rule of Rimuru and Ultima.